Vicky pulled into a space and switched off the vehicle's engine. She counted only 5 vehicles, hers included, huddled nose to nose in the parking spaces closest to the central store entrance. As she removed her seatbelt, she felt slight cramps in her pelvic region and made a mental note to add sanitary napkins to her shopping list. She shoved her wallet deep into the pocket of her jeans and hopped out of her truck. She never carried a purse at night. As soon as she stepped through the store's automatic doors, she yanked a few antibacterial wipes from a dispenser near the entrance. Vicky grabbed a shopping cart, scrubbed the handle down, tossed the wipe into a nearby trash bin, and veered towards the produce section. She glanced over her shoulders a few times as she did so, feeling content to see hardly any other customers around. Only 2 people caught her eye. A tall, very thin young black man with sleepy eyes, standing in the self-checkout line. He was wearing a neon yellow work vest and a hard hat. The other was a heavy-set, older Hispanic gentleman, busily examining a floor display stocked with canned goods. After selecting a satisfactory variety of fruits and vegetables, Vicky patiently moved up and down every numbered aisle, grabbing other items on her list. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded through the store's overhead speakers. She immediately recognized Rose's soulful crooning, crisp falsettos and smoky tones. The deep bass and hypnotic lull of the alternative music was undeniably provocative. His voice dramatically stretched out the middle and end of the lyrics in smooth vocal transitions. It was the first line in Rose's song, Flowers Over London. Vicky thought she'd never been so tired of hearing it. She rolled her eyes up in her head, doing her best to ignore the melody and finish shopping.
I completely feel you.
A husky voice suddenly broke through her strained concentration. She looked up from the shopping list she'd been scrolling through on her phone. A very attractive man flashed a friendly grin. She returned his smile. He continued to comment on the song, while Vicky subtly drank in every detail of him with her eyes. Even she, an apathetic romantic, had to admit that he was exceptional. Handsome wasn't a strong enough description for the well-put-together specimen standing before her. He couldn't have been less than 6 feet, 4 inches tall. His shoulders were broad and muscular, while his waist tapered into an example of pure fitness. His butterscotch complexion gave him a sun-kissed appearance. His hair was shaved very low except for the crown, where a silky crop of thick auburn waves was pulled back into a man bun. It was hard to determine if his eyes were a pale green or gray, but they sat bewitchingly beneath a pair of long, dark lashes. Vicky tried not to look so obvious. Surely the man would be put off if he knew she was being a mental pervert. Based on his appearance, the guy was possibly 10 years her junior, very married, and only attracted to the model type. She noticed he wasn't wearing a ring, but knew better than to necessarily regard it as a sign of availability these days.
I've been to 4 different places today that were all playing this guy's music.
His soft smirk was even picture perfect.
We can't get away from him.
The man's claim could easily be validated. For a couple of weeks now, there'd been at least 4 new commercials advertising Rose's album and 3 guest appearances featuring him doing what he did best, winning the hearts of millions with his natural charm and irresistibly mellow personality. Yeah, he's definitely everywhere. She grinned while mentally scolding herself for not thinking of something more clever to say.
But apparently, he's cracked the code. The guy's been making solid hits for the last 30 years. I don't think he's letting it go anytime soon.
He eased closer, holding a box of zucchini pasta in one hand. His fans won't let him go anytime soon, Vicky emphasized. Her smile faltered a little when she thought of how cold Ro had been with her when they'd spoken on the phone last year. He's way too big to walk away. But I personally think that's when you should, while your fans still love you. The man smiled and stuck his hand out towards her.
I'm Saf, by the way. Saf Scythe.
Oh, I'm Victoria. Vicky stuttered and stared at his waiting hand as if it could bite. But everyone calls me Vicky. She had grown unaccustomed to people stepping into her personal space. Contractions of anxiety rolled the pit of her stomach. He pulled his jilted hand back and chuckled as if she'd made a joke. Vicky's ears and face flushed warm with embarrassment. Her cardigan suddenly felt too thick and heavy. A chimney of steam hovered in the space between the V-neck of her t-shirt and her chin. Warm perspiration tickled its way down her back and stomach, forming an uncomfortable dampness inside the waistband of her pants.
I get it.
He started again and plucked another box of zucchini pasta from the shelf.
You're probably thinking, who is this guy interrupting my shopping to discuss some filthy rich musician who doesn't even know or care that you and I exist?
She wanted to offer a rebuttal here, not for his partially inaccurate presumption, but to make it clear that she didn't feel particularly interrupted by him. A little suspicious, maybe. But quite frankly, she was as curious about him as he seemed to be about her. Except her words didn't flow so easily, so it wasn't a simple matter of expressing these thoughts. She was well out of practice when it came to the art of socializing and had zero charisma. There were no close friends to gain practice on. The only man she'd ever befriended or seriously dated was Ro, and that had been over 20 years ago. She hadn't been in a romantic relationship since. Plus, she certainly had no intentions of letting on to this Saf guy that he was making her feel off guard and embarrassingly awkward.